All right, so let's give a detailed explanation about this full sentence outline. The basic structure of this outline begins with the main points. You ought to already have your thesis figured out. You state it at the top, and then you move to your main points. And the ordering of main points should flow logically so that the audience can follow the presentation easily. Under your main points, you should support them with sub-points or subordinate points. And those sub-points are the foundation on which the larger idea is established. So you should have a certain number of main points, whatever it takes to support your thesis, and then a certain number of sub-points, whatever it takes to establish the main points. Your outline should exhibit coordinate points. That means that every point in the outline should be of equal weight or substance. It should also exhibit parallelism, which I mentioned just a moment ago. The words and phrases and sentences need to be parallel to each other, balanced and mirroring one another. Everything is on that has the same level of importance is on the same level in the outline. That helps the audience to process or remember the information more effectively. Effective outlines clearly label all parts. You want to make sure that you label the different parts of your speech and make sure that you recognize what they are and how they work. In order for your speech to flow seamlessly with clarity and fluidity, there are some key pieces that you need to put into your speech. They don't have to be a part of your outline, but your outline needs to show you what they are and where they go. First of all, you need transitions, such as bridges from idea to idea within your speech. There are several different kinds of transitions you can use. Transitions are served to work like the headings and subheadings work in an essay. You can use chronological transitions, which allow the listener to understand time relationships. You can say before, after, and later, at the same time, wow, finally. Those are chronological transitions. You can also use contrasting transitions, which show how one idea differs from the previous idea. You say, on the one hand, yada, 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 but on the other hand, yada, yada, yada. Or in contrast with that, or in spite of that. Those are contrasting transitions. You can also use causal transitions. Causal transitions show a cause and effect relationship between the ideas. This and this and this happens, and because that happens, this and happens, therefore, this and this occurs. Consequently, da 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 da. Those are causal transitions. Then you have complementary transitions, which help add one idea to the next. So you make a point, then you say also, you make the next point, then you say next, and you make the next point, and in addition to, or likewise, or those are complementary transitions. They're building the thought process. They're building your points one upon another. Another thing that you need to think about when you're looking at your outline is how you're going to preview your internal points in your speech. You want to have an internal preview that gives the listener an indication of what they're going to be looking for in the speech. This will become a part of your introduction. And you haven't written your introduction yet, you're writing your outline. But your outline provides you, those full sentences provide you with things that you can use to preview your main points. You also need to be thinking about an internal summary. That happens at the end of a speech. It happens in the conclusion. And it's where you clarify and emphasize what you have just said. And again, you're summing up your points in single sentences. And so this full sentence outline helps you develop both your introduction and your conclusion, although it includes neither. Another thing that you need to be thinking about when you're doing your full sentence outline are signposts. Signposts act as signal cues for the listener. They indicate where you're going in the speech, what's going on in the speech. You may use numbers. You may say, when you're doing your main points, we're doing, again, I'm back to the demonstrative or process speech about making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. First, you select the bread. Second, you select the right brand of peanut butter. Third, you get the right brand of jelly, because everybody knows the right brand of jelly is critically important to a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then fourth, you put the specific amounts, the ratio, you get all that right. That's a numbered set of signposts. Lets you know I'm transitioning from one point to the next, to the next, to the next, and helps you follow me through the speech. Another way you can use signposts are in phrases that are designed to focus the receiver's attention. You might say, you'll especially want to keep this in mind, or pay attention to what I'm about to say, or listen closely to this, or if you don't remember anything else, remember this. Those are signposts. They point to important information. They can also be phrases that indicate that an explanation is coming. For example, to illustrate, or let me sum it up this way. In other words, those are phrases that indicate that some important summary or explanation of the data is about to follow. Finally, you can use rhetorical questions. What steps can we take to make better grades in speech class? That's a rhetorical question. Then that helps point to you're about to provide the information to satisfy that question. Or you might talk about an event and then ask, why is this important? That signifies to your audience you're about to tell them why this is important. So these signposts help you move from idea to idea, and they serve as a guide for your listener. It helps focus a spotlight on the things that are most important for your listener to grasp. You can also use a signpost to signal the end of a speech. For example, finally can indicate that you're on your last point. Or if the preacher stands in the pulpit and he says, in closing, that generally means that sometime in the next 30 to 40 minutes, he's going to finish what he's talking about. It's a signpost. After you've created your outline, it's key to practice your speech using your outline. Listen, this is the reason you have your outline. You're going to develop from your outline your speaking notes. Don't write your speaking notes right away. Start giving your speech from your full sentence outline. If you want to learn to be a more natural speaker, you want to learn to flow, not just sit there and read off of a piece of paper or index cards or your phone and keep your eyes down where your audience knows you're not paying attention to them at all and all you're doing is trying to power through the speech, then that if you want to improve beyond that, then what you got to do is learn to take your full sentence outline and flesh out the thoughts in your mind. Make the arguments without having them written down. And if you practice that, and you do that multiple times, you won't need a whole lot more than your full sentence outline in order to effectively give your speech. You'll spend a whole lot less time looking down at your notes and a whole lot more time engaging your audience, and it'll get your point across. So take your full sentence outline, practice, work from it, develop the thoughts, and then sit down and make out your notes. Those notes are called an extemporaneous outline. That's just a big name for your speaking notes. And they contain the key parts of the speech. The speaking notes may include the transition statements, that not just the full sentence outline, but now we're adding back in the transitions. We're adding back in information about the introduction and the closing, your summaries and previews. And still we're working in single sentences. We're not writing this out word for word. We're just developing a format that helps us better adhere to what our full sentence outline said we were going to do. So you should only prepare your speaking notes, that extemporaneous outline, after you practice delivering the speech from that full sentence outline. When you make your notes, keep them brief so that you can focus as little as possible on them. Listen, when you're giving a speech, and this first speech, I wasn't quite as hard on this as I will be in future speeches, but it's important that you make eye contact with your audience. And every speech you're going to give in this class, in the future, not including the first one you've already given, is going to be before an audience that you have to assemble. And so make eye contact with the audience, make eye contact with the camera. Don't rely on your notes and just read from your notes. Nobody will, if we wanted it read to us, we'd read it to ourselves. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to you read from your notes. What we want is for you to share with us, for you to draw us in, for you to engage your audience and get across the information that you're trying to convey. Your notes may include delivery cues and margins to help you, at this point, I want to do this, or these little signals that help you know when to transition. If you're using visuals, it may indicate where the changes are in the visuals. If you're using some type of object to demonstrate, it may indicate which object you need to be using and what you're doing with it. All of that appears in your notes. When you make your notes, print or type. Don't use your sloppy handwriting where you're sitting there trying to figure out what the notes actually say. That doesn't help. So make it big, bulky, easy to read. Use just a keyword or two, maybe the sentence that you use to enter into the thought process that you've already developed for fleshing out your main ideas. Keep it short, keep it simple, put it on index cards or something like that. And give yourself the opportunity to give a good quality speech without appearing to be reading all the time. That is the key to being an effective public speaker. An effective public speaker almost always has notes. Nobody does this off the cuff because off the cuff is incredibly dangerous. You find yourself wandering all over the place. So an effective speaker always has notes, but an effective speaker rarely makes it evident that they're using notes. That's what you want to strive for. You want it to look like it's conversational. It's off the cuff. You're just speaking from your heart, even though you're working from an outline that you developed and a thought process that you've already put some time and energy into. That wraps up your 2 chapters for this week. Don't forget you have an outline due Tuesday night. Your midterm must be taken this week, and you have a discussion post to do this week. And then we'll rock into next week with a speech due, I believe. So I want you to get tuned in and focused on that.